clearly. Can you maybe leave a smiley or something in the chat box just to be sure that everyone can hear me clearly and everyone is with me? Great. Okay, Okori, thank you. Okay, so I think I'll just go right ahead, just so we don't take too much time on this. So first of all, thank you to the bug detective team for inviting me. Always a pleasure to come and share with you guys. Okay, let me turn on my video. Yeah. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing a few things around strategic hiring, right? Let me also share my screen. Right. Okay, so I think I need to introduce myself again. Sorry. My name is Yetunde. Currently the human resources lead at Ella. I like to say that I'm everyone's bestie, but it depends on the context of the bestieship actually, because I mean, like everyone knows, HR can be many things. So, but yeah, I like to say that I'm everyone's bestie, yeah. So, like I said earlier on, today we're going to be speaking on deep diving into strategic hiring, right? I'm going to be sharing a few things around typically what potential employers are thinking, around what their thought process is, some of the things they're considering during the hiring process, or when they're even not even just during the hiring process, before we even get to the hiring process. And of course, I'm also going to be sharing things around I'm going to be sharing some things that I think can help you also position yourself for strategic hiring, to be able to align yourself with what employers are looking for, what management is looking to get from having you on board their team. Just ensuring that you're well aligned, really. So yeah. I'm just going to go to the next slide. So yeah, just running through the table of content really. And I think I already basically just explained this already. So we're going to be going over a brief introduction on what strategic hiring is about, an overview as well of strategic hiring, some considerations. So some considerations basically around what, like I said, what employers are thinking, what they're looking to get, how they are hoping that you as how you're hoping that you're bringing adequate value to their team and you're well aligned with what the goal of the company is. Would also be looking through strategic versus non-strategic hiring. I use the term non-strategic just so that it's easy to relate with, other than using any ambiguous HR term. Yeah, and a little exercise in between, and then we'll be going into positioning yourself for strategic hiring, right? Please, again, can we confirm that everyone can hear me? You can leave a message in the chat box or leave a thumbs up or a smiley, just to be sure that we're all still together. All right, great. Okay, so I think that I am only getting engagement from only a few people. I'm sorry, I'm in HR and I will call people's names. TBD team, please confirm that I'm the controller of this, I'm the full control, I have full control of this session. I mean, just to be sure that we get adequate engagement from this and get adequate value in the long run. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback, Adiola, for Lashayo. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you, TBD team as well. So, okay. So, first of all, before we go into the introductions, I would also like to see what ideas or what you think about strategic hiring. Does anybody want to share? When you hear hiring, first of all, what comes to your mind? I mean, in your own basic understanding, right, before we go into the session. Does anyone want to share? Hi, hello.
Hello, okay. Oh, someone said employment.
Okay, employment. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer, so that's fine. Any other person? Can take like two more. This one. Okay, finding the right fit for a role. Any other one? Okay, so I think we'll just go right in. I mean, in for basic understanding, I mean, hiring is just basically, finding the right fit for the role. Employment, I mean, those are like key things that really surround it when you hear hiring. But then, what do we also think when we hear when we hear things around strategy? I'm just trying to break it down to be sure that, and just to ensure that, I mean, by the time we're aligning all the terms, it's easy to relate to in general. So when we hear strategy as well, what comes to mind when you hear strategy? Planning and processes of execution. Thank you, Abiola. A set plan. Thank you. Basically, strategy is just how, for me, I like to say that strategy is how you want to get to where you're going to. Basically, how I want to go to the markets. Which way am I passing to get to the markets? Basically, So I'll just go right into the presentation from here. So, wait 1 second. Right. Okay. Okay. Okay, so what I first did here was bring out basic definitions of strategy. Basically, dictionary definitions. Strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term overall aim. Strategy is a general plan or set of plans. Someone said set of plans earlier, right? Intended to achieve something, especially over a period of time. Hiring is also the act of employing someone, basically, like we also rightly said earlier on. A hiring basically just tends to fill up the role, fill up an open position, right? Depending on what team, what the company need is, what the human resources need is at the time that the hiring process is being conducted. So moving on, what we just try to do here is a bit of an overview of strategic hiring. So merging both terms together, right? Strategic hiring is just, I like to say it's basically purposeful hiring, right? Of course, if you want to merge strategy and hiring together, basically tells us, I mean, strategic hiring is you purposefully being purposeful about your hiring process. Like I also said earlier on, I mean, there are many things that tie into that process, right? And just also ensuring that all of those things are being considered through the process. And of course, the end result, right, is in alignment with what the initial goal of that process is, right? So just going over what we have here, strategic hiring is the process of identifying and hiring employees to help an organization achieve its goal. The process often includes creating a pipeline of potential candidates, assessing skills, qualifications, making sure that they're a good fit, right? it could be both. It could go both ways. It could swing both ways. It could be for a short-term plan or a long-term plan. I mean, there are times that businesses have particular products or particular goals they want to achieve for a certain period of time, and sometimes, right, they would rather other than away from the human resource that they have at the time. There are times that this goal requires that they source for specific skills or source for specific people, right? For example, in financial services, if most times when you see financial services applications or when you see their JDs and requirements, some of them will say things like, oh, maybe you should be proficient in financial modeling or an experience with one of the big fours is an added advantage. So things like that, because in that moment, right, or at that time of the hiring process, there's a need that they feel, that they think, or that they already know. Let me not say they think, because like we're saying it's purposeful hiring, right? There's a need that they have identified and they feel and they think that people only people hiring people from a big four company. So when I say big four companies, companies like EY, Deloitte, PwC, right? Skills from that environment is best fitting for what is required for what the business wants to achieve at that point in time. So yeah. The process involves acquiring, deploying, retaining the right number of employees with appropriate talent to effectively execute the strategy. When done strategically, hiring can enable a company to acquire a sustainable competitive advantage that allows it to successfully fulfill its mission. As we go along, right, competition is also one of the things that drives companies, drives employers to want to be purposeful about their hiring, right? So in case I'm going too fast, you can please maybe leave me a message or we can leave it for the question and answer session later. So moving on. Sorry, I don't know why my slides moving slow. Sorry about that. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I hope my Zoom is not about to embarrass me yet. All right, so yeah, sorry about that. So moving to components of strategic hiring, right? So just a few key activities that are core, not just to even basically just core to hiring process. Like I said, I mean, this session, I'm hoping to help you basically just understand what we think, right, when we're looking to hire for certain roles, some of the things that we do, right? Because of course, sometimes there'll be times that, oh, you feel like, oh, you're the best fit for the role. And at a certain point, and in the end, you get a regret notification or regret email to say that, oh, they're not proceeding with your application and things like that. But then as we go along, I mean, I'm hoping to share more knowledge as to why why you possibly get a regret email sometimes when you apply for a role. So some activities in strategic hiring. So first of all, planning. I mean, like we all already know, even away from and like we already even said from the onset, I mean, strategy is planning. Like we need to be sure how we want to, like we need to be sure how we want to achieve what we want to achieve. What are the things that we need to do? What are the resources that we need, right? What timelines do we have, and things like that. So all of those things make up the planning process, right? So just going over what is here, predicting an organization's future employment needs, assessing its current employees, labor markets to meet those needs. So like I said earlier on, understanding what the current human resources need is, not just, so before the human resource need is, what's the business need, right? What's the business need for the hiring, right? Do we need someone that has 8 years experience or has an experience in a certain skill? Is there a skill gap? Why are we even hiring someone that has a certain skill? What about the people internally? Also assessing the what the current human resource is, the skills of the current human resource that the company has, strategically evaluating the company's current lines of business, new businesses to be getting into, businesses to be leaving, in case there's anyone they want to toss down the burner, new ones to replace an old one, or if there's another one that they feel, based on competition, sometimes you see that some business, especially in tech, right? From my experience, right, most the tech industry is quite, it's not, I like to say that it's not static, right? And that's why you find that a lot of businesses, it seems as though a lot of businesses are doing the same things, but then it's just basically so that no one is left behind, really. So yeah, moving on, the gaps between the current skills and the organization, like I said, if there's any skill gap, or what about the people that we have internally? Can someone internally take up the role other than going out to source for that skill or things around those areas, right? The skills it will need to execute its business strategy and meet the goal. But first of all, we already need to understand what the goal is before we even set out to hire. Moving on to is sourcing. Sourcing is how you're finding the right individuals that you need for that role, the right individuals to meet that need that we have already established while we were planning and strategizing on the process, right? And of course, I think in sourcing, right, people tend to they're also one of the things that we also consider in sourcing is, or where can I easily find the right set of people that I'm looking for? Or do I need to do a LinkedIn ad? Do I need to use a third-party recruiting ad? Do I need a recruitment consultant? Would I rather do referrals from my internal employees and things like that? Or do I rather ask a partner or poach from a partner or poach from another company? So all of that are those that are being considered in sourcing. Recruiting itself, making decisions and engaging in the practices that affect either the number or types of individuals willing to apply for and accept the job offer. So of course, your job ad, you already established where you want to source your candidates from. So moving on, you need to now go through the full recruitment process of putting out the job ad, monitoring it, shortlisting CVs. Of course, while you're shortlisting, you're checking to ensure that the skills meets basically the requirements it's in alignment with the need of the business. Selecting talents, assessing job candidates, and deciding who to hire. Of course, aside from shortlisting, you're also looking at who to move to either the assessment stage or the interview stage. I'll try not to bore so much on these processes because I feel like they're more inclined towards human resources human resources personnel, sorry. But then, like I said, it's just to give us an idea of some of these things that goes on behind the scene before the eventual hiring, right? Acquiring, putting together job offers. Of course, while your process has been completed, you've done interviews, first level, second level, you already gathered feedback, you've discussed pay expectations and all of that. Acquiring takes you to putting together the job offer for the most appealing candidates, and of course, going through offer stage and acceptance from the candidates. Retention, keeping successful employees engaged and committed to the firm. Of course, retention starts from the onboarding process. What's the onboarding process of your employee, of the new hire like? What's aside from that, you want to properly set out KPIs and expectations for the new hire over time, right? And of course, close monitoring to ensure that the employee is well engaged, right? Not just of course well engaged in terms of really being sure what the person is supposed to do, right? And just generally just well engaged. Nowadays, retention, I don't want to go too deep into retention, but then there's a whole lot that surrounds the retention process. So I think I'll just go on to sorry, I don't know why this keeps happening. Okay, yeah. Considerations for strategic hiring. So here, we just highlighted a few things a few pointers, right? A few pointers around some of the things that goes down into the planning process, the strategizing process, So first of all, business strategy alignment, ensuring that the hiring aligns with the overall business strategy. Earlier on, we said we want to be sure what the business goal is at a certain period of time, over a certain period of time, for the quarter or half, for the full FY, or for half year, or is it for the month, or is it for a particular product, or do we want to attain a set target for a product? Do we want to eat a certain amount of, do we want to make certain revenue over a certain product over a period of time? Identify the skills and expertise required to meet current and future organizational objectives, right? Also considering skill sets and competencies. So here, being sure about the required skills and competencies for the required skills and competence for the position. Of course, whether technical, soft skills, right? And as employees, right? I like to also emphasize on the importance of having soft skills other than just being technical, because I mean, a lot of companies nowadays are very protective about their culture, and basically who makes up the culture, who and what makes culture, basically the people that you have around. So other than just having your technical skills as being the most important, soft skills are also very, very important, right? Because I mean, we've seen situations where, especially for startup companies, right? Like I like to say that startup companies are very close-knit, right? Of course, I'm not one of those people that will say we're a family, right? And all of that. But then it's close-knit, and whatever it is, whatever attitude or whatever, allow me to use the word bad behavior, easily rubs off. I mean, energy just generally rubs off very easily in companies like that, other than the large organizations. Even in large organizations, because I mean, that's why you would see that from time to time, there's always HR is always trying to ensure that employee engagement is top notch as well. I mean, and just generally just ensure that employee engagement is top notch. So moving on to cultural fits, I mean, this still ties to what I was saying about soft skills. Assess how well candidates align with the company culture. Of course, during the hiring process, these are one of the things that HR, your employers are actually looking out for. Employees who share companies' values and work well with the existing culture, right? Like I said earlier on, companies are quite protective about their culture, so I mean, very recently we've had a situation where we had an interview with a candidate, and of course, this candidate was exceptional in terms of technical, but then I mean, in the course of the interview process, there were a few things that were said that the candidate said along the line. There was also reactions, so when you're in an interview, there's a whole lot of things that the recruitment team or the interviewing team is looking out for. I like to tell people that, I mean, whilst you're talking, a whole lot of things I'm also trying to look at while you're talking. I'm trying to also just see what you're not saying, and of course, how am I doing that? From your expressions, from how you're responding, your use of words and things like that. So long-term potential, what's the long-term need? What's the immediate needs that needs to be met, and all diversity and inclusion. How is this hiring going to aid the company's, how is this coming to contribute to the company's diversity? Strive for diversity in hiring to bring in varied perspective and experiences. A diverse workforce enhances creativity, innovation, and adaptability. Market trends, like I said a few things around competition earlier on. Stay informed about industry trends and talent market dynamics, understand what skills are in demand, and anticipate future needs for competitiveness. Aside from just skills, and that's one of the things around market trends, one of the things that we also like to consider is to be sure that, we're competitive enough, right? We're competitive enough across all areas, not just remuneration, but then we're competitive enough to be able to basically just increase our chances of getting good talent in the long run, because of course it's one thing to hire good talent, is another thing to also have have I don't have good things that would let the talent or the employee also see reasons why they want to join the organization. So market trends are one of the things that we tend to examine. So recruitment sources, right? I think I touched on a bit on that. Consider where you want to source for your talent, right? Specific consideration as to where you want to source for talent, because you want to be sure that, because we're discussing, because it's strategic, it's purposeful. So you want to be, you're also being purposeful about where you want to source for. Or would you rather, have we during the planning process, have we determined that referrals from within the organization or from partners, family and friends and things like that would give us who we need or the right resource we need for what is required, diversify recruitment channels to attract a broad range of candidates. So not just so that's why you see a lot of times away from you see the same job ad on a number of maybe ad channels and things like that. Because of course, as much as possible, while taking into consideration recruitment sources, we also want to be able to ensure that we have adequate options. Retention strategies, I think I touched a bit on that. Cost benefit analysis, assess the overall cost of hiring, recruitment expense, onboarding, training costs, and things like that. Adaptability, see candidates who demonstrate adaptability and a willingness to learn. Assessment tools as well. How do we want to assess? Or do we just want to go right into interviewing? Or do we want to have an assessment phase to test for the skills, to be sure that this person has the right skill? Or are we able to determine that from the first interview process other than doing the assessment first, legal and regulatory compliance, ensure that the hiring process complies with relevant employment laws and regulations, especially in the within the immediate environment of the employing company. So moving on. So this just basically weighing strategic hiring against non-strategic hiring. Like I said, I use non-strategic hiring because just to make it allow us easily relate with it. So strategic hiring, like I said, purposeful planning. In strategic hiring basically is more purposeful, and sometimes it can swing both ways. It can be short term, it can be long term. And basically hiring and the whole recruitment process sometimes also determines on how soon, is also determined by how soon or how quick you're able to get what you want, or if you're really convinced that you have gotten the resource or the skill that you require. So in terms of non-strategic, of course, this is not inclining that non-strategic hiring is basic, of course not. But then it's also based on it's based on the context that it is being used. It's based on the context that is being used, really. So non-strategic covers more for immediate needs. So say, for example, a replacement hire, right? As much as possible, you're already clear on what you want, but you want to fill up, you want to replace that opening as soon as possible. Replacement hires in terms of an employee resigns, and then you need to just as quickly as possible fill up so that there's no lag in the team. Talent alignment focuses more on skills and competences, focus on specific skills and competences crucial for organizational success. Like we said, we already established what the key is. And if you're going to go by strategic hiring, you will not allow me to use the word, you will not back down, or you will not close out until you get what you're looking for, because you want to, or until you get the actual end results that you're looking for. So very recently we had a process, and everything went so good. But at the end, by the time we start to evaluate all the feedback and the assessments that we got from the candidates, we still realized that there are a few skills that is still lagging, right? There's still some things that are still lagging, that going ahead with those set of candidates at that point in time was just going to still affect us in the long run. So we had to now rewind and begin that process all over again because we had still not achieved what we wanted actually. So long-term strategic hiring is more long-term, but of course it can swing both ways, like I said. For non-strategic focuses more on immediate requirements, like we already established, has a limited scope as well. In terms of culture. So I just did a few sub-headers and just put a few pointers. I think we will be able to share the slides at some point, or maybe at the end of the session or later, so that we can just easily go over. So yeah. Cost consideration as well. Long-term, what's the long-term investment? What's the long-term return? What's the long-term return on the hire by the time we have gotten what we need, right? And earlier we also spoke about, when we were talking about considerations, we spoke about cost benefit analysis. So we already set out, another thing is also setting out a budget, which would have been done in the planning process to say, oh, this is how much this is what the hiring expenses, right? The end-to-end hiring expense, of course, from the point of even putting out the offer, or if you're going to use whatever expense is going to cost on the job ad or for the recruitment marketing phase, and then the actual offer that you're making to the employee and the benefits and everything that you're offering the employee during the employment process, learning and development, and all other things that come with that hiring expense, right? I think we can just go over to the next phase. Okay, so simple short exercise for the next few minutes. But before we go into the exercise, I think I just want to just check in if we have any questions or anything, so that I'm not just talking to myself.
All right, so I actually do. Thank you very much, Yetunde, for sharing all of that. I think that the major question I have is, I mean, for some of the people here on the call, and this session is being recorded, so other people might get to watch it later. So I was just thinking, like, I mean, you said a lot of things about what your team, like as the profession, look at when they're trying to hire. And you also explain like how it kind of reflect to us as the what's it called, potential candidate for the position and for the role and all. And I'm just saying, like, in line with everything you're saying since morning. So, I mean, for people that are on this call, how can they really put it into where they are trying to search for roles, where they're trying to prepare for interview, interview roles, their interviews for any role they put out. Let's say they saw a post out there, like you mentioned, they saw a post out there and they applied for that role. Maybe they sent their CV or something and they get a call for a scheduled interview. So, I mean, how can they apply all of this strategy that you guys use from your end? Knowing that strategy, how can they now apply it to answering certain questions, connecting with the interviewer, and trying to ensure that they actually ace their interview at the end of the day?
Okay, so thank you, Abiola, for that question. Okay, so first of all, right, so if I got your question correctly, so just having this, how does this knowledge impact chances of being successful through as a potential employee, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So like I said, this basically I have a slide that is going to touch on positioning yourself for strategic hiring, but I wanted to first give an idea of what we're thinking, what's the hiring company is usually thinking about first before going into that. So I mean, this knowledge, right? I would say it will just basically allow you, like, when you first see a job ad, first of all, I would say, first of all, even understand what you want to do, right? Be sure that, it aligns with what you want to do, first of all, even before even thinking about, what does the company want? What does the requirement say? Or what's the company thinking about? What's the history of the company and things like that? First of all, understand, be sure that, it even aligns with what you want to do, first of all. Know what you want to do, know what your own goal is first, know what your values are, right? And be sure that, be sure of what you want first. Then now go over into the job requirement or the job ad. Go over and see what the requirements are, what the roles and responsibility is. Go on to also do a bit of research on the company, right? Check the people, if possible. Try and even send a message to reach out to the team. Of course, not being too invasive, but I mean, to just basically properly ensure that it aligns with what you want. But first things first, understand what you want first. Understand what your goal is. Understand what your values are. And be sure that, what you're applying for, or the role you're applying for, or even the company values aligns with that which you want, aligns with your own goals. As we go on, we'll deep dive into some of the things that I put down on positioning yourself. Some of the things I put that I have in positioning yourself would also answer answer in-depthly this question on how to ace your interviews or be successful in the course of the process, right? Or even make you valued higher in the first place, even before going on into the process. I hope this answers your question, Abiola.
Yes, thank you very much. Like you already mentioned that by the time you start sharing more screen, you get more insight into all of these things. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So just a short exercise, right? Share something interesting and unique from your LinkedIn profile. Does anyone want to go first?
Can I suggest someone? Let's call Gamble. He's been on the call since the beginning. I think he should participate.
That's fine. Something unique. Something unique. I will be checking. So don't boo us, please. Because I may just have your LinkedIn profile in front of me. You never can tell. So Gambo. Hi, Gambo.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Wow, something unique. Wow. I don't have to put it. Well, can I just? Yes, yeah. I don't really know what to say.
Like she has a wow on her LinkedIn. She has a wow.
But do you want to talk about a unique
wow?
I don't really know what to say.
Or do you want to tell us about a unique experience that has stood out for you so far through your career journey?
Well, I'm a beginner on this journey, so
I don't know how. Have you done anything at all?
You said?
Have you done anything at all? Have you maybe through NYC or something at any point in time, a stint, an internship or something?
Yeah, I'm currently an intern. So.
Okay. How long have you been interning for?
6 months.
Okay. So in the course
of it's ending this month, yeah.
In the course of the 6 months, share your highlights with us.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been able to put what I have learned to practice and also learn a lot from the journey. Yeah. In the practical aspect, like when I started, I don't have knowledge of database and the likes, but with people I work with, yeah, I've really learned a lot on the journey so far. So that's just it, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wants to share? Leonard, do you want to share something with us? Oh, I think you left the call. Ola Shayo. Okay, I think we'll just proceed, right? So we don't take too much time on this. Okay, so I think like this is the most important and interesting part of the whole conversation, right? So what I did here, I just briefly just engaged some of my colleagues, right, and just asked their thoughts on what to do. How do you position yourself? What are one of the things that what are some things? I just told them to just share with me some things that they think would help you position yourself to be a strategic hire, to be a value-added candidate, right, for a role. So here, so I just used their initials because I wanted to just keep their names confidential. So yeah, so here, as our senior quality assurance analyst said, demonstrate strong skills for whatever role and level you're being hired for, right? One of our senior software engineers, do your homework, develop yourself to position yourself so that when an opportunity comes, it's easy, right? And I think this is quite profound. Like they say, opportunity meets preparedness, right? So ensure that you're continuously developing yourself, you're learning, you're practicing, you're asking questions, you're asking for feedback, all of those things just help build the total package that you are, one of our product managers also said, have an understanding of the role and what is expected of you, right? So after you have identified what you want to do, you know what your goal is, you know where you want to start from, you know what industry you want to join, or you're looking forward to joining, even though that doesn't sometimes, of course, what you want doesn't come to you immediately. But then after you have identified those things, you also want to just have a clear understanding of the job description, of what is required, and what is expected of you, what the company needs, check for company resources to be sure that would assist you with this understanding prior to when you be invited for interview, or even prior to then, ask relevant questions. Like in my organization, what we do, once we have identified the right a candidate, one of the first things that we always do, and we make it a rule, just so that we like to, just so that every candidate has a personalized experience, because the whole experience with my organization, whether or not we hire you, we usually would think that it starts from when we're engaging you as a candidate. So that process is very important and very dear to us. So from the point that there's it's a standing rule, the first thing we always like to do is call and have, just a few minutes chat. So from there, you can always ask. I don't know for other human resources personnel, but then I think if you have that opportunity, one of the things you can do is ask relevant questions and ask politely as possible. Of course, that has some disadvantages because, of course, we've seen different variations of candidates in their responses and in the way they're asking questions. Some even become very invasive and are always called. So it swings both ways. But then, like I said, you want to make sure that you're as polite as possible. Another thing you can do is also ask in the email. If the email doesn't, the introductory email or the email on the role doesn't have details of the role, you can always ask politely for more, ask polite questions or ask to be sure. Just to help you guide, just to guide that understanding of what is required of you before you go into the interviewing process. So one of our quality assurance analysts also said, have a very good portfolio. Like I said, opportunity meets preparedness. So every resource and everything that you think will be leading up to what you want to do. You want to be sure that all that is intact and adequate. Oh, you're a designer. You want to be sure that your links are up to date. You're a tester. You want to show that your GitHub is up to date with things that you have done, projects you've done in the past. You want to be sure that your CV, first of all, even also reflects those key things, right? And up to date details as well, because that is also very important. Good use of social media. I think that, the use of social media cannot be overemphasized. Of course, it swings both ways, but identify, focus more on the good of it, right? LinkedIn has done LinkedIn has really helped a whole lot of people. LinkedIn has done so much. You can always now, you have the opportunity to always easily reach out to hiring managers or not just even hiring managers, people that are even maybe working in an organization that you're interested in working with, and you can always easily ask questions. You also want to social media can even also help you have a feel of what the organization is doing, because a lot of times before our new hires or even our candidates joining, some of the things that people would tell us during the feedback process of the interview is that, they went to see, they saw some of the things we're doing around certain areas, and even have questions around those areas. I have questions around maybe an ad that they've seen or something, Make sure you're in the right network so you're considered first if there's an opportunity. Of course, the importance of being in the right network cannot also be overemphasized as well, because it's also key. And us being here is because of the fact that we're members of the TBD community, so having a good community, participating in things like this, making good friends, making good relationships because of this would also help, because you never can tell who may just be referring you to your next big role and things like that. So this page actually just summarizes all the things that we'll be going over in the next slide, really. But yeah, just to give us some more context. So we have highlighted, understand your goals, know your why, clarify your career goals and the type of roles that align with your aspirations, identify industries and organizations that resonate with your values and long-term objectives. So say, for example, you're interested in working in a piggy vest or a bank or any organization. All right, ensure that you understand what their values are, go over what they've done, products they have released, feedback, use the products, just so that, you're sure, all of these things are it's all encompassing in understanding if it really aligns with what you want to do, if it's what you can do, if it's something that really interests you, if it's something that is value adding to your long-term goal, even if not in the immediate, skill development, continuously upgrade your skills to match your current and future industry demands, or as a non-stop learning, even when you even get the role. Ensure that you're constantly developing yourself, acquire both technical and soft skills relevant to your field and strategic needs of the prospective employers. Build a strong online presence. Optimize your LinkedIn profile with a professional photo, comprehensive summary, details about your achievements. These little things also matter a lot. We've seen cases where people's details, and ensure that all your details align across all the platforms that you're putting it out on LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, in your CV, and things like that. There was a time we have a on our careers page, we received CVs through our careers page, and we were doing we were looking to hire for a certain role at a point in time. And one of the first things we did was just go into that CV pool, and we were just reviewing CVs to see if we could find any candidate that fits. And what were we also doing? Because of course we knew that some of these CVs were not sent. Some of these CVs, we didn't receive them purposefully for what we were looking for, but we just wanted to see if we could find something that aligns with what we wanted to do. And we were looking at these CVs against their LinkedIn profile, just to be sure that just to get a better feel of the candidates. And some of the things we saw, little, small details, as much as, or maybe company dates, your tenure with a company, some key things in terms, some key responsibilities and roles, like every tiny detail matters, even contact details. We've had a situation, in fact, during this process that I'm referring to, we had a situation where we reached out to the candidates, the email was in the candidate's inbox for the longest of time. So before reaching out, we had already called. So after the call, we sent an email. By the time we sent the email, the candidate reached out back saying that he didn't get the email. And whereas what my team did was send a screenshot to say, oh, we have reached out to you, we had sent this email to you. And then the candidate came back to say, oh, the email that was in the CV is not very active. He has another one, and now share that with us. So the littlest of details, pay attention to the littlest of details. Make sure that your LinkedIn profile aligns with your current realities or what your past realities are. Show your skills, engage in relevant conversations. Don't just make comments because you want to comment. Ensure that your comments is relevant. Ensure that your comment is passing a message, even if it's just to comment somebody. Ensure that it's well put together. Show your expertise as well. Be sure to always tell people about the things that you are doing, projects that you're working on at some point in time, right? Or at that point in time, right? Participate when you also go for trainings, or you go for networking events, feel free to always share those as well, because you never can tell where the engagement may be coming from at any point in time. But we cannot, LinkedIn is really, like, we cannot overemphasize the value of LinkedIn, really. I have, not just even as a user myself, but as an HR professional, because there are times that people reach out to me to say, oh, I'm reaching out if you have an opening, this and that. Sometimes I don't have that opening in the moment, but then one of the first things I always try to make a mental note of, oh, by the time I'm ready to hire, I'm going back to my DMs to see what people have sent me, not just see what they have sent me. I'm also going back to look at the person's profile to see, oh, what are you currently doing since we last spoke, right? So as much as possible, ensure that your LinkedIn profile is fresh, right, and neat, has clean details, well put together, networking, cultivate meaningful professional relationships. I think we already said that. Make very good relationships. When you go for networking events, try as much as possible to network, ask questions, right? Even if you can't ask questions in the audience, ensure to engage with people around you, because you never can tell what relationship is going to be the door opener. Attend industry events. Industry events just helps you, also just refreshes your mind on what companies are doing, on how people are thinking. I know that this year, for example, for me, I've not been able to go to so much trainings, but one of the things that I've tried to do was participate as much as possible in network events, because it just refreshes your mind. It just does something to your mind, right? Even if it's just a 1 hour webinar or something, like it's just a refresher for you, right? It just helps you also just understand what people's realities are out there. Because you may just even be in a phase of, oh, I'm not sure what I want to do, I'm not clear on this, I'm not clear on that, or you think that this is a certain way for only you. You never can tell. By the time you're having conversations with people, you would see that it's maybe it's not just only you, or this person may have a fantastic idea of how you should go about something, and that conversation may just be maybe while you're even seated with the next, like while you're sitting and attending an event or something. Ensure to connect with professionals and stay informed about industry trends. How do you stay informed about industry trends? Like, you can even read a book, pick up a book, or even on social media too, or just in the checking company websites as well. So nowadays you see that a lot of companies tend to put out a lot of updates. They're going away from just putting updates about their own company, but then you see companies now sponsoring a lot of tech writings, tech newsletters. Even companies themselves are sending newsletters, giving you some more insights, or giving you ideas into what they want to do, what they're currently doing, what they've done over the quarter, and things like that. So those readings also help, research companies, so not just industry regions as well. So, because I mean, one of the things that we've also started to do very recently as an organization is just also see what people also do away from just co-work, just to ensure that, oh, there's adequate work life. Allow me to use the word integration, of course, because I think that's where everyone is sort of tilting to now. Of course, work-life balance, but then I think there's now more of work-life integration, so you also want to be sure of what the other side, what your social side is as well, of course, away from technical. So, of course, you will need your social you really need your social you on some days, especially by the time you get into work. You have a lot of deliverables, and for young people like us, a lot of times you want to cover up, you want to close, you want to deliver, you want to this, you want to that, but then you need to be able to also create that window to just calm you down and just sort of ease things for you. Research companies, do adequate research. I think I've touched on that a lot. Do adequate research on the company. Subscribe to companies' newsletters. It allows you also see what they're doing, what they're releasing soon, and things like that. What they have done, what their people side, what their people experience is like, what their management team is like. Check their social media, check their websites, check their LinkedIn pages. Some people even go as far as messaging other people that currently work in maybe your prospective organization that you're interested in. And that would just also help you while you're interviewing, right? Because of course you're coming to the interview with very robust knowledge, right? Of course, away from what the skill that you're also that you're bringing on board. But that is also an impressive thing that hiring managers also look out for, because I mean they want to also know that you've done adequate research, you've used their product. Because for me, I'm always very excited when people give feedback about, say for example, give feedback about the Ella app and even ask us questions around it. I'm like, oh great. I mean, it shows something, not just feedback because feedback. You can always tell when someone is just giving feedback because, oh, they just saw it, but because they really, 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 really use the product. And again, I believe that I'm talking to a pool of testers, right? So I would expect that, oh, if you're I'm looking forward to being hired in a tech company, for example, you have used their product, like you have used it in and out, right? To be sure, like when you're even coming, say if you're coming with, oh, possible, of course you can't test it, but then you have used it. If you have the opportunity to ask people questions you have asked, you can even tell your friends to also use it and let them give you feedback on what they think about it, and that will just help you in the course of the process. Guide questions that you'll be asking, feedback that you will also be giving to the company. So tailor your resume and cover letter to highlight experiences and achievements relevant to their strategic priorities. Like I said, subscribe to companies' newsletters, check what they're doing in the media, check what's this company doing at the moment, or what campaigns are they running now. What did they do in the last quarter? Last year, what did they do? What new products did they just release? Things like that. What are customers saying about their product? And just be sure that, oh, your skills, all the skills that you have aligns with what they're also doing, and your skills are also well articulated. And not just well articulated, but you also want to be sure that you're able to really prove that you really have that skills and you have the right value for the organization. It's one thing to say you can do something. It's one thing to write down or note down that you can do something. It's another thing to be able to really convince your hiring team or the hiring manager that you can really do this, And of course, that would be through during the assessment process and the hiring process. But then you want to be sure that, oh, you have prepared yourself well enough. You have done adequate practicals. You highlighted your achievements clearly. Your experiences are clear on whatever documents you're sharing, whatever links you're sharing, your CV and things like that. Demonstrate strategic thinking, showcase instances where you've contributed to the strategic objectives of your previous employer. Like one of my colleagues would say, always come with your brag sheet. What's your brag sheet? What's on your brag sheet? What have you done? And you're not just like, not bragging, but then what are some of the key things that you, just like I was asking Gambo, oh, what are the highlights of, what are some of the highlights of, what have been the highlights for you in the last 6 months? Oh, you achieved this over a certain period of time. You did this, you did that. You like talk about how you participated in projects. What was your input? What did you do? What was your input? How did you contribute? If you were not the sole person participating in the project, how did you contribute to it? How did the team achieve? What did the team achieve? So emphasize leadership and collaboration. Yeah, very, very important. Emphasize that you're a collaborator. Emphasize that you're a good team player. Like I was saying, if it was a team project, what was your input, right? What did the team achieve? What were some of the challenges that the team went through, and how did you overcome it? If it was a case where you were required to champion a project, what did you do? What were the skills that you used? What worked for you? And of course, that if required, right? Like don't also be afraid to own up to things that you're not very sure about, or things that you feel like, oh, you're still within the learning process. And of course, learnings while you were on maybe a certain project, how that experience influenced you, how that experience, what learnings did you get from it? I like instances where you led projects, collaborate, cross-functional. Very recently, we were in an interview, and one of the feedback my colleague gave on the interview panel was that the candidates kept saying, I. Even me, I didn't notice until when I saw that feedback from my colleague. And she was like, oh, she doubts that this person is a team player. So also be very cautious when you're reflecting or speaking about the things that you have done. Ensure that you have done, if possible, try and take your time. It's you that did it. It's you that did the achievement. You know this thing. You know what you're saying. It's your skill. It's your gold. It's your source. So you should be able to present it, articulate it in the best possible way, in the best relatable way as well. Quantify your achievements, use numbers, use metrics. Oh, what we did led to so increase, led to that so percentage increase in revenue for the company. Oh, what we did, we were able to close out on this at a certain timeline, right? Be like, show the quantity of the things that you have done. And it still brings me back to ensure that your brag sheet is packed, ensure that your brag sheet is detailed, ensure that you are able to defend your brag sheet. You're able to boast about, not boast per se, but then you're confident in what you have done, right? No matter how small it is, how you also present it matters, because you never can tell in that interview. Maybe the interviewer is just trying to see how well you're able to present yourself, for example. Like, how are you even really talking about this thing? That's, you may say, oh, what you've done is not so much, or what you did is just, I just did it in 3 months. Oh, this. Don't make it sound like 3 months. Like present it. Like I said, the interviewer may just be looking forward to seeing how you present it. Right? You never can tell what they're listening to, what they're looking at, what they're paying attention to. And try to be concise as well, because you don't want to lose their attention while doing that. Use quantifiable achievements on your resume to showcase the input of the contributions. Like, still brings me to, I think we already said a lot on that. Demonstrate how your efforts led to positive outcomes and contributed to the bottom line. Bottom line basically is the goal of the business. If the goal for the business was maybe hitting a certain revenue target, or if the goal of the business was, for example, we wanted to get 1 million users by the end of Q4, or we wanted to ensure that we had just so amount of downloads at a certain point in time, so you want to be sure that it's quantifiable. It may just be 2 lines, but that 2 lines can be very weighty. Continuous learning, display a commitment to lifelong learning. Also show that you're willing to learn, pursue certifications, courses, advanced degrees, read books, illustrate your adaptability and openness to new challenges. Because one of the things that people look out for these days is, especially with the talent migration that we have, and I remember in the last session that we had with TBD, one of the panelists had emphasized on what you're bringing in, right? And I think this just, I just actually just remember that conversation as I was talking about this, right? With the talent migration, most employers now were trying to now see how, of course, whilst we're still looking forward to getting people that are very experienced, but we're also trying to see how we can also tilt towards training and teaching people. But of course, before we're able to train, we want to already be sure that you also have something, right? We want to be sure that you have something that we can also work with, So if it's a course, if it's a certification, training opportunities like this as well, like it goes a long way. You never can tell where this conversation, where this maybe 2 lines or 3 lines from this conversation will be helping you, in you never can tell where you would maybe be remembering that, oh, we said this, we said that in this training. So that's why things like this are very important. Illustrate your adaptability and openness to new challenges. One of the things my boss will say is, oh, I want to see if the person is teachable. I want to see how this person, one thing I just want, when you're interviewing with my boss, for example, he's like, oh, he just wants to, he's not asking too much questions, but there are just a few pointers he's looking at. And of course, I know that there are many other people like that. Like I said, you never can tell what the person that you're interviewing with is looking out for. So, of course, you also want to articulate that you're constantly learning. You want to show what you're actively doing. Tailor application materials, customize your resume, cover letter, and portfolio to each application. What are you applying for? What do they need? Ensure that your CV is reflective of what is required. Emphasize how your skills align with the organization's strategic needs. How do you know their strategic needs? If you're asking the right, like we said, you've asked the right questions. You've gone over the CV, you've gone over what the business is doing. If the business is a business that releases reports, you've gone over those reports. You've seen what people are saying about them in the news. You've checked their reviews on the App Store or Play Store. Clearly articulate how your experiences make you an ideal fit for the long-term objectives of the company. Brings me back to brag sheets. I mean, be sure, like I said, it's one thing to have those skills, but it's your skill. So, say it, own it, and present it well. Be clear and concise about it. Don't talk too much that you lose or you derail from the key point of articulating or expressing your experiences. So constantly seek feedback. I mean, feedback is very important. Not just seek feedback, but how are you also putting to good use that feedback that you are getting from mentors, industry professionals, career advisors? I've had people share things with me to say, oh, they just want to ask what's my thoughts on this is, or can I help you review this? I mean, you can always do that, and thank God for communities like this. You can always reach out to, you can even reach out to, you necessarily don't have to ask a senior person. You can also just ask. It could just be someone that you like. It could just be feedback from a peer, like a peer feedback. You never can tell what that feedback is going to do to you. Very recently, someone was telling me about taking feedback. Of course, I used to think that I take feedback well. Of course, I do take feedback well, but that made me just realize that, okay, maybe sometimes I'm defensive, but of course, not work feedback, but it was just social feedback, right? And the person told me, oh, Yetunde, the person was just complaining about how people are being defensive about feedback. That, oh, you gave this feedback, but the person was already quick to say, hey, how you tell me this kind of thing? Or no, this is not how we do it. I was doing it this way because this, that. Just basically trying to be defensive. And the person now told me, oh, Yetunde, you too, you did this, you did that. And I'm like, and me too, I now started that, I did it because, and you said, you see, you too, first of all, taking the feedback, so that was like it was also a learning for me, taking that feedback, first of all, think through it, assess it, gauge it against what you're doing, right? Not just taking the feedback or hearing it and trying to immediately be defensive, but gauge it against what you're doing. Use that feedback to also assess yourself, right? So seek feedback from mentors, industry professionals, career advisors to understand how you can enhance your strategic positioning. Use feedback continually to refine your approach and professional brand. Like I said, use that feedback to reassess yourself, assess your assess based on whatever context the feedback is sought. So I think that's yeah. So final summary, by strategically positioning yourself, you increase your appeal to employers seeking quality individuals who not only meet immediate needs, but also contribute to the long-term success of the organization. I think this is the end of my TED Talk. I hope I've been able to convince and not to confuse you. I'll take questions from here.
Thank you so much, Yetunde. It was really an insightful session for me. So if you have any question, can we use the hand raise emoji or raise hand?
Alex, but you can start with your own question if you have any. Then I'm sure that the moment you start, every other person would jump.
Okay, so for me, yeah, I want to ask as a tester. So there are sometimes I go through some apps, I'm like, and I encounter bugs, and I'm pushed or pressed to go to their Instagram site to say, talk about it. I want to ask, is it a good behavior? I've never done it, but I am always thinking about it. Yeah, like I have like two companies that I feel like there's something wrong with. There's a particular behavior that is not fine. So is it right to say go to their LinkedIn or Instagram to talk about the particular behavior? And would it in any way say get me a chance to work with them?
Okay, so thank you for the question, Elizabeth. So it depends on how you put the feedback that you're giving to the company. I think that's what I'll say. It depends on how you put the feedback. I mean, your feedback can be, if your feedback is rude, or if your feedback is immediately criticizing them, of course, some companies don't react well to some of these things. Like I was just talking about feedback and how people react to feedback sometimes. So it depends on how you're putting it and what detail you're also providing in it, right? On LinkedIn, right, I've tried to, of course, every HR person has tried to poach or reach out people via LinkedIn, you know. And of course, sometimes you get certain responses about people, especially from people that don't want to go through the hiring process. But some will come nicely and tell you, oh, thank you for reaching out to me. I'm currently not looking to move at this point in time. Some will even give you reasons as to why they're leaving, right? Some will now even, to capital of some will now even tell you that, oh, they have seen some of the things that you are doing as a company and even now use the opportunity to give feedback, right? You know, but what that does, I mean, the whole mode of presentation was very easy peasy, interesting, was appealing. Yeah, appealing is the word, you know. Even as HR, sometimes I'm not a technical person, but what that always does, I'm like, oh, because of the whole excitement, oh, this person even gave me feedback about that product, right? I'm immediately maybe sharing it with the team to say that, oh, maybe you guys should look at this, look at that, look at this, and look at that, you know. So if, for example, if like I said, depending on how you share that feedback and how you construct it, right? Of course, you're not just giving the feedback and you're saying, oh, this thing does not work. But you're also saying that, oh, you think that if this is done this way, or if we explore this way, or this is that. You can even tell them that, oh, you're happy to take the conversations for that. But long and short for me, it depends on how you approach it, right? If it will allow you an opportunity, you never can tell. It depends on the person that's also looking at it as well. If it's me, for example, I'll have in mind that, oh, this person, even because even the candidates that you really purposefully want to hire, sometimes some of them don't go through that depth, right? Because of course we've seen a whole lot of things. But for you to even go that extra mile of giving me that feedback, I mean, if it's me, I'll be hire you, you know. but it depends on the company. But I think you should still go ahead to give the feedback, but give the feedback in the most appealing, detailed, ensure that ensure that you also show your value, show that you know what you're saying, right? With what you're saying, with what you're telling them. I hope that answers.
Yes, please. Yes. Thanks a lot, Yetunde. Thank you. Yeah. So do we have any other question? Okay.
Ask me questions, please.
Or
Okay,
you can just drop it in the chat box in case you don't want to unmute. That's also fine.
You come and DM me, I'll not answer. I'll say we're here together.
Hi, Diola. Hi, Adeni. Hi, Folashayo Gambo. Do you have questions for our speaker? Okay. Should I take that as no from everybody? I guess I will.
If there are no questions, can we have key learnings? Sorry, I'm in HR, and this is what I used to do to my people. So can we have key learnings? Can everybody share some
Yeah,
key-
I think I wrote mine. Always come with your brag sheet. And I think that's very, very strategic. And thank you very much, Yetunde. If I'm permitted to talk more. Elizabeth, am I permitted to talk more?
Yes, please.